Hello, everybody. Welcome. Back that up a bit. welcome, Libras. I know there's been a tad amount of anxiousness for this reading. And I'm not sure why. I was going to do The Godfather Part 3, and then I decided to do Libra. So Libra pushed in before the third part of The Godfather. So clearly this actually really has to be out. I thought I was going to do The Godfather reading. Oh my gosh. Wow, look at you. Justice is just coming through. So anyways, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm Whitney Moon. These messages are pretty strong. Not really too lighthearted, so if it doesn't make sense, don't force it. Frank Sinatra just started playing in my head. I hate that guy. Him and a bunch of other little culty members gang raped Marilyn Monroe and taped it. I hate Frank Sinatra. I don't even like his fucking voice. You know, everyone's like, oh, but his voice. Ugh. Gross. He deserves to die. Well, I think he is dead now, right? He might not be. I'm sure. I hope he is. Oh, he needs to rot in hell. That poor woman. So, I think this has something to do with the reading. Yeah, something was stolen from you by a man. So I see a woman that's all kind of bound up by something. There's the Eight of Swords. And below it is the Devil. Shoot me to the ground. Yeah, so somebody needs to... That's why justice is here. Justice always prevails. Whether or not it's in this lifetime or another lifetime or this dimension versus another dimension, from the looks of it, what I'm seeing here is that somebody was taken advantage of. He could have been raped, sodomized, abused, molested. Something by an emperor. An emperor stole something from you. This emperor could be a father figure, like I said. Could be a stepfather, a cousin. Okay, give me this Devil. This was actually my original deck. Steampunk deck. I learned off of this deck. And I could only get it in pocket size. So we got this little teeny tiny version of my very first deck I ever used called the Steampunk Tarot. Oh my goodness. Okay, so okay, this could be you and perhaps your mother. I don't know, maybe you were poor at one point when you were younger. Okay, and somebody... Okay, so what I'm getting is like somebody whose parents or parent, okay, could have somehow had this like tragic beginning, and you could have been massively poor. So your mom or your dad went and sought refuge from this guy here. See this guy in the red? So what I'm getting new things. So we're going to be able to focus this really soon. But see the guy in the red and how those two are giving him swords? So he's the sword keeper, okay? And anybody has to come to him to take swords, right? So I feel like this emperor, okay, used his status and hurt you. Ace of Wands in reverse with this Nine of Pentacles. So I think what happened was somebody took somebody's independence, or it was like, well, you're poor and you're living with me, so you have to follow what I'm saying. Something like that, okay? And so somebody could have had to go and stay with somebody from a lack of money, and then that person hurt them. And then said, well, you're living in my house, so I'm allowed to sodomize you. Oh, well, you're living in my house, so I'm allowed to do whatever I want to you. Now, this either could have happened to the mother or the child. But if it happened to the child, the mother knows about it but can't say anything because that's the only place that she can stay. So this mother, from the looks of it, is sacrificing her child for a place to live. All right? If anybody, I don't have kids, but I know for a fact if anybody even fucking touched them, I'd be out of that house in 2 seconds. So whoever this mother is pathetic, okay? To leave an adult hurting a child so then a mother gets to stay somewhere and have warmth. There's shelters, there's cars, there's fucking police offices, there are people that can help you. And yeah, it's gonna suck, and yeah, you're probably gonna put into some homes that you don't like, and you're gonna be put in some places that aren't gonna be royal dynasty, but guess what? You're homeless. What's better? Staying in a shelter with a bunch of other people, or staying in some mansion with a pedophile that's hurting your daughter? Wow. I don't know the ranks on this one, but justice is saying, get the fuck out of there and don't just take the money and sacrifice your child. So the Page of Cups comes in with strength. Okay, so we got Capricorn here and Leo and Aries for justice. So from the looks of it, there's quite a lot of people that are getting in trouble and quite a lot of people that are getting vindicated for what they went through. Okay, so now we have strength with the Page of Cups. So it's like somebody finds strength in standing up for themselves and giving themselves this offer and not allowing this emperor to do this anymore. Okay, so it's almost like he has stolen something. And what is that? The 5? So he's, like that's the 5 of Swords, like that's battle, right? Like he's moving on, right? So I think this person thought that they could just move on. But the thing is that there's always a sword left behind, right? You always leave something behind, even if you're moving on. Like if you started something, there's all that damage that follows you. Okay, so give me the strength, please, and Page of Cups. Like that bird is speaking right to that demon. Oh my gosh, the Page of Cups has been clarified by the Page of Cups. There's the Page of Cups right there. Okay, it's kind of a lonely card. Walking on the beach, she's got a cup, and she's like, what do I do with this? Where do I go? Oh wait, I'm not giving it to anybody, okay? Look, Ace of Cups. You've just decided in something that you could have given to somebody else, right? You could have went out there and helped somebody else. You're like, I'm so thirsty. I'm just going to drink this myself, okay? Last card of clarifiers. Ooh, 10 of Wands. Moving on. Okay, so if this is somebody that you know that hurt you in some way, and maybe you're still living there. That's the thing. Is like you could still be living with a monster and you have no idea. Like, well, but you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you can stay here, but I've got to go. Like, for instance, when I moved to where I am now, okay, it was very far away from my hometown. So when my sister and I moved, we needed to know that we had a place set in stone. So we found an apartment where I'm living with a guy who rented out a whole house. So my sister and I were able to rent out 2 rooms in his house. And I stayed there for a couple of months. and realized that it was the worst place I'd ever lived in my life. This guy was the dirtiest guy I've ever met in my life. He was so selfish. He started to use my sister. He was a fucking pathological liar. He was an alcoholic. He accidentally almost set the entire house on fire because he passed out while his food was in the oven, and my sister woke up to the smell of burning food. I was working at the time. I was working fucking basically midnights. And once I got enough money, I left. Like, I gave him fucking no notice and walked out. I couldn't be treated like I was nothing. Like, he would just have these parties in the middle of the night. All of his friends would be over. And there was just, oh yeah, also, there was a guy that I dated that was one of his friends who fucked up so bad with me that he used to just come to my house to hang out with this guy, and then he'd pass out on the couch right in front of my door waiting for me to say something to him. Like, that kind of hostility to live with somebody that's forcing you to do things, or you can't speak up because the man of the house is gonna have something to say about it. Like that's pressure. And like, especially if your mother said something like that, like, oh, you, like this was a lot like my stepfather. Like, we weren't allowed to speak to my stepfather. If he did something, we went to my mother. And if he came into the room, she'd go, shh, right? Like she didn't want us saying anything to Craig that pissed him off, because she knew he would throw a fucking fit, right? And my stepfather also molested me, and I had to live with him face to face for 26 years. I had to look him in the eye every day, knowing what he did to me, okay? So, and my mother will never leave him because to be honest, like, he doesn't even have any money now. Like, he's broke, he's old, he's in his late 80s now, and he is miserable. And she still chose to be with a monster instead of take my sister and I home, right? She, like, some people, they are so brutal to themselves, right? And they treat themselves like shit, that comes out on to their loved ones. Because, and they'll say, oh, you have to learn how to take it. You have to learn how to take it. And I think that some people have to learn how to put their fucking guard up and not take it. Because by taking it, you enable so many people who are acting like little selfish assholes to just do whatever they want. Right? And actually, there was a, kind of another instance that happened at my work, and this man was treating me really, really badly, and I just thought I had to deal with it. I just thought I had to, this is my job, and I have to take it. Right? And then my boss kind of, she was a little upset, and she was like, I wish you would have told me. And I was like, I wish I would have told you too, because like, I didn't know that I didn't have to endure this. Just because he's a man and he's got more money than me, it doesn't mean that he has the right to treat me the way that he's treating me, even though I'm working. It doesn't matter. Like, even if you're working, it doesn't give anybody the right to stand over you and breathe over you, right? I worked for another woman, and she treated me like I was fucking 15 years old. Like I didn't have 20 years in the serving industry. Like I didn't have a fucking head on my shoulders. Like she had something to teach me. And I walked out on her as well. I gave her 3 months of my time to try to be like, please stop mothering me. But all I can do is just take all of her advice until I feel like she's got no more advice left. But that advice just kept coming and coming and coming. And then I realized I was making absolutely no money. I was putting up with more of this woman's shit than anything. And I don't need to eat shit anymore. I ate shit for long enough, right? But you have to decide when you put your foot down and you say, I'm giving this to myself, right? Instead of treating the world like they've done something to you, or like you need to fight back because you don't have any justice. The thing is that justice is all in you. You're the one that creates it for yourself. If you don't, then you don't. But this is a world where we don't have a whole lot of control. So you have to learn how to control things when control is in the room and when you've lost it. Right? Just because somebody has more authority than you, it doesn't mean that they have the right to mistreat you. Right? So it's like somebody here has to learn that just because they're an emperor and just because they own something, you're stronger than that. Right? It's called boundaries. respect, like, and the law. Like, somebody is not allowed to break the law just because they own a company. They're not allowed to break the law because they're your boss, right? It goes both ways. But some people, once they get into emperor status, they don't realize that they can make mistakes too. They think that they're allowed to do whatever they want. And that comes with entitlement. That comes with money. That comes with, well, look at me and look at you, right? Just because somebody's homeless, just because somebody doesn't have as much money as somebody, it doesn't mean that their value of life is any less than somebody who's a millionaire, right? A value of a life is a value of a life, right? Oh my gosh, I'm getting my favorite song by Under Oath, and it's called Reinventing Your Exit. And my sister I just heard like a ding, ding, ding. She was probably filling up her grinder. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so reinventing your exit. You need to leave this situation, okay? And I mean, when you're ready, okay? But you need to get out of this situation and give yourself this cup of strength that allows you to defeat this emperor. And just because you have status, it doesn't mean you're allowed. Like, think of Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a little Epstein Island, you fucking nut. What are you doing? You don't think you're gonna get caught? Really? Because you have money? And then that motherfucker kills himself in jail. Biggest coward move you could ever fucking make, right? Just saying, once this emperor gets shut down, they're gonna make a coward move like that. Don't be surprised if they do kill themselves. Don't be surprised if they just kind of disappear, right? That's a coward. If they've been harboring over a child this whole time, and that's their opponent is a child, that's like the biggest fucking idiot in the entire world. Like, that's who you're gonna fight against. Because and most times when adults choose to fight against children, it's because they know they can't beat an adult, but they can beat a child, which is weak. Hey, give me this 5 of Swords and this Emperor. You can't hide forever, motherfucker. Yeah, this person's very unbalanced. Yo, you showed up. There's justice right there. Justice! Okay, so this person is going to be very defensive, okay? So that's where you stand on your guard, on your high horse, and you defend yourself even more, okay? Because, yeah, you can say anything you want to this person. You fucked with me. You did something to me. You diddled me. You touched me. You fucked with me. You lied to me. And this person's going to go, no, I didn't. Okay, they're not going to admit it to you, okay? Because they're a little Queen of Wands in reverse. They're angry. They're darkness. Okay? They're going nowhere, and they never have gotten anywhere if they've had to fuck a child. They're disgusting. They own nothing. They are nothing. They are less than the ground we walk on. And, I mean, if you really want to know how pedophiles really rank on the scheme of things, watch some videos on how many people have killed them in jail. Okay? There was this guy, oh my God, he was my hero. I think he was in Alaska. He went around with a hammer and he looked up where all the pedophiles lived, you know, when you can look that up on the computer. And he went to all of them and beat them to death with a hammer. Justice prevails. You know, like, if I didn't have my sister and I didn't really have something to live for, when I went black, like, and I'm talking like black, like my eyes were black, my mind was black, everything in me was black, I was dark. I could actually have seen myself going door to door and killing people. Absolutely. Like, when you're in that kind of state, that's why you have to be very careful. You have to very balance yourself. And actually, temperance is here because, you know, you have to balance that hot and cold, right? The feeling that you get when you're on the ground versus when you're in your emotions. Right? Balancing yourself, because we can let these people, these emperors, really get a hold of us if we want to. Because a lot of people think that money makes the world go around. It's all about money, 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 money. You can just pay off whomever you want. If you want to tell a lie to the judge, you can, because you can just pay him off, right? And then there's those judges that are like, you could offer me $1 million and I'm still going to send you to jail. Because a judge has to get paid for what they're doing every day anyways. Right? Taking an illegal buyout. I mean, I don't even know why you would do that. I would just keep the paychecks coming. Like, that's just stupid. But at the same time, though, when a devil steps in, a devil can alter a lot of people's perspective on things, right? Because then as soon as somebody gets angry, and that's what opens up the door, is getting angry. And then you want to get even, right? And then you want justice. And you've missed the steps before that of healing, coming back together, doing what you need to do, overcoming your battles. You've just skipped to the end because of that blackness, that rage that comes over you. And that's why you have to be like careful that this doesn't haunt you, that you don't feel like there was no justice towards this person. So now you have to go and make your justice. And I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you that creating your own justice is not in the right mind for you. And I can't tell you that going to the cops is the better thing either. I don't know. I don't go through what you went through. I went to the cops 33 years later, and unfortunately, because my stepfather is in his 80s, he can't really go to jail. Prison is for people who are going to offend again. It's a rehabilitation center. It's supposed to rehabilitate. If my stepfather hasn't, and I know he watches children, but if he hasn't actually abused a child since me, then he hasn't reoffended, which means he's not going to go to jail, right? So that's another thing, is if somebody did something to you 20, 30 years ago, but they haven't reoffended, then unfortunately, they're not going to go to prison. I mean, you could have a full-length trial that's going to kick your ass, and they still won't go to jail, even though they're guilty. So that's why, clearly that's why this has to come up with Libra today, has to come up with justice, because like I said, justice prevails, and sometimes we don't get the full justice in 3D because it's 3D's not, and it hasn't been designed that way yet to catch everybody. Those monsters are caught in different dimensions, and whatever happens to them in 3D happens, right? And then for the most part, they'll pass on and go into the dimension where they receive their punishment. Because as we know it, everybody in jail is innocent, and everybody on the outside seems to be guilty. So take that into consideration. And just know that giving yourself this, okay, and standing up for yourself and walking away from somebody who feels like they have the right over you because of money or status, right? Don't let them scare you. And now I'm getting like a producer or something, and like, you know, like you might be in the creative arts department, and you're working with like a producer, or you're working with an editor, or you're working with somebody of high authority, and you know, he takes you into the room and he hurts you and he does something to you, and you think you can't say anything because they're the director, they're the producer, they're the head honcho, they're the ones in lead of the show. But that's the thing, is they're getting away with it because no one's saying anything, right? So maybe you're that monumental event that happens that exposes these people for what they are and exposes them then. And like I said, they might not get justice. They might not get arrested, but you're now free. And you'll find another job. You'll find another movie. You'll find another producer. You'll find another person to work with. Don't set yourself up to show the universe that you're willing to take it just to get somewhere, right? Because you're not. You don't have to take something to get somewhere. If you show the universe that you don't deserve that person deserves to get shut down, that you deserve better, the universe will give you better. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away, but it does happen. You know those people that end up breaking up with somebody? You know, like, I finally broke up with him. He's caused so many fights and so much bullshit. I finally left him. And then poof, you end up like meeting somebody in a couple weeks, right? Or you finally do your healing, and then you fall in love with the one that you were always supposed to be with, but you just had to get through that asshole just to teach him a lesson. That's the thing. It's like a lot of people come through your presence, so then they get a lesson taught to them because they're not paying attention to something, right? Sometimes the lesson is good. I just had to teach this man the other day on how to tip. It wasn't that he was ignorant. He just honestly didn't know how to tip a waitress. He didn't realize what, and fuck, I mean, he's like in his 60s, and he was like, I'm supposed to be tipping that way? And I was like, no, Jordan, you tip how you feel you want to. If all of a sudden somebody blows your mind and gives you the best service in the world, you want to leave them $20, leave them $20. Don't just tip 10% or 15% because you feel that that's the standard that the universe is telling you to do. If somebody goes above and beyond, you reward them for above and beyond. If somebody's an asshole, like he was kind of tipping me like I was a dick, until finally he tried to tip me like $5 or something, and he messed up, and he was like, "Oh, I tried to give you $5," and I was like, "Jordan," I said, I think at this point I don't even want your money, like, because then he was trying to tip, and he didn't know how to work the machines. Oh my God, he finally got it right last night, and he was so proud of himself, and he was still like, "Is this enough?" And I was like, "Jordan, you can't ask me that. It has to be if you feel like it is." Right? So now he's starting to understand. Like some people, they don't understand that you're supposed to do something that you want. It doesn't matter if somebody else wouldn't do it that way. You have to incorporate the way that you want to do something because of what's in front of you. There is no textbook. There's no definition. There is no right or wrong way. Right? Every situation's different. And everybody's opinion on that situation is different. And every person that would be in that situation is going to do it different. Put it that way. So, holy moly, I was so thirsty. Whew. Okay, 7 of Pentacles. Oh, lovely. On the bottom of the deck. See how he's just kind of standing there contemplating all the moves that he could make? You can make a pros and cons list. This is the moves I want to make, and these are the cons towards the moves I want to make. Or if I'm going to do something like this, this could happen. And at the same time, maybe try not to prepare yourself too much, because the way that I've seen it and what I've gone through, I've tried to prepare for moments, and it's never gone any way that I've prepared. Okay? It's like, oh, well, that was way out of left field. I guess I shouldn't have sat around thinking about it so much, because sometimes you sit around and you think about something too much, you'll end up psyching yourself out, and then you won't do it. Right? So, ooh, the Empress on the bottom. So really, I think you're ready for this. I think you know that you don't have to be under somebody's gun anymore. Right? That you are a free spirit, you're a free person, you have the right to your own life, you have the right to say yes and no, and this person had no right to take what they did from you. I don't care how old they are. I don't care what status they have. I don't care who they are. Nobody is allowed to hurt another individual. So, whatever they think they were allowed to do, they actually weren't allowed to do it. So, that's why you really have to decide how you want to do it, because it didn't happen to anybody else the way it happened to you, and it's not the aftermath is not going to be like anybody else that went through it either. So everybody's unique, every situation's unique, and yeah, I hope this message helps. I have to get going now. So if you want a personal reading, if you want to get a little bit more into this or something like that, you can always email me, whitneymoonshine@gmail.com. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Adios.